Hello, guys. Welcome back to the show. Not another feminist rant. Let's resume our discussion.
Okay, I would like to ask an interesting question right now. Is there are beauty pageants for women? Is that actually empowering women, or is it being sexist? Yes, Mayurakshi.
uh, if beauty pageants start challenging the idea of beauty, the defined idea of beauty we have, then it would actually be helpful in fighting against the oppressive ideas of beauty. All these, in fact, these are ideal, these do not exist. The hourglass figure, all this, if all this is challenged in a beauty pageant or in a beauty context, like nowadays, earlier we used to see the skin color issue. Nowadays, when black women are also winning beauty pageants, the idea is gradually changing, we can see. So if these pageants start challenging the existing norms of beauty or the existing definition of beauty, like a certain weight, a certain height, if all this changes, then definitely these pageants will be helpful, or they can help us in fighting the sexism or the defined ideas of beauty, which is actually oppressive.
Thank you. Next, let's talk about wage gap. You know, we have seen many protests in which women are not being paid equally as men, and it is true. It is true. There are many instances where even when women do the same amount of work as men, or even when they do more work, they're not being paid properly. Yes, but if you see most of the top CEOs in the world, it is mostly men. And if you take the top chefs in the world, those are men. Is it? And at this point, my doubt is, yes, women should be empowered and they should be given equal opportunities. But the question is, since it's the top positions are mostly male dominated, this fact of saying that it's biased, only men are given equal opportunities, and women should be, there should be kind of like an equal representation of women. So we should, reserve some seats just for women. And this has been also visible in, in the form of reservations into colleges or into workplaces. Companies have started having a separate recruitment process just for women. Yes. So is this kind of like undermining and like preventing men who are actually talented and are putting in a lot of hard work from getting what they actually deserve? Yes, Pritesh.
No, not at all. Let me explain how. These reservations are completely justified schemes, even adopted by the companies or governments. Let me explain how. In countries, for example, India, you must also understand that these schemes that these companies bring up, I'm setting the government aside. Like, for example, Amazon sets up a special program for hiring women in its computer science departments. I have seen people getting hired through that. It's not applicable in every country. They change these schemes with the geographical positions. Now, let me explain why implement these schemes in certain geographical reasons. Take, for example, India. Even as of right now, how do you become successful? You, given the current education system, you will pass class 12th with a decent percentage. You will get yourself enrolled in a good college. You will earn your degrees with good grades. You will sit in the interviews of good companies, get hired. You will work hard in those companies, fight the environment there, rise through the ranks, become successful. That's the recipe is, right? Let's see what's the problem here. The problem is many families in India, even today, they don't allow the girls in their house to study at the first place. This is a reality. Many families in India don't allow the girls in their houses to study at the first place. They don't allow the girls in their house to study after a particular phase. Say, for example, class 12th. Oh, class 12th ho gaya. Now she should get married. After BTech, okay, you have done BTech. That's fine. That's enough. Go get married. 2 years of job. That's enough. Go get married. See, the problem is we are hindering it. We are hindering their progress. Why are you stopping it at just till class 12th or till class 10th or just till bachelor's and a particular period of job? The problem is that most Indian families are still conservative in this context. And therefore, when the families and the fundamental unit of society can't fight this challenge, well, then certain institutions will have to step in. Governments, companies, different other institutions. How will they step in? They will step in through policies. One of these policies is female reservation. Government does what families couldn't. Government ensures female reservation so that those women who could not get an opportunity to read, they could get an opportunity through these reservation policies to enter in the college system, to enter in the education system, and get an opportunity to rise up. And you will see the criteria of these reservation system. They divide the public on certain economic scales. Reason? Because the committees that the government set up, or the research teams that these companies set up, they study closely the economic scenario that and they find that those families which do not allow the females in their family to go up and pursue higher education, they generally belong to that part of the society which is not that well off in terms of economical health. That's why there is an economic filter in these reservation criteria. So in my views, these policies of companies and government are completely justified because families are not able to do it. Someone will have to do it. The government's here and the companies.
Thank you, Pritesh. Yes, Neil.
Yeah,
What do you have to share with us?
yeah. So I completely agree with what Pritesh said. We need reservations for women, especially in institutions, even in the government. Like for example, India is trying the best. They have about more than a third of the seats reserved for women in the government in Lok Sabha and Gram Panchayat. But I agree that we need this in the present day scenario until the mentality of the families and the mentality of the society changes and starts perceiving men equal to women. After that, I believe that we do not need these reservations. Then it becomes slightly unfair in some sense. But up until that stage is reached, which it will take, maybe a few years, maybe hundreds of years even, I think that reservations by institutions very essential to help change that mentality. At least in India, to help push women to work their jobs, to express their views. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Neil. Yes, Priyanka.
Yeah, so I agree with Neil and Pritesh that at this point, we do need reservations because from childhood, girls are told that the whole purpose of your life is to grow up, get married to someone and serve them, right? And that mindset is so ingrained that even women feel that they're not capable of being in top positions or doing engineering or doing research and things like that. So a major part of having reservations is actually letting people know that engineering or any other job is a valid career option for them too. And they're also expected to be interested in things like this. And it's completely valid for them to be interested in engineering and things like that. And about the wage gap, I think, so if we even look at YouTube channels, tech YouTube channels, there are female hosted YouTube channels and there are male hosted YouTube channels. And the same thing, take a phone review, the same thing told by a male and a female, what a male talks about is valued more because people think that women are inherently less smart than men and that their opinions about technology and quote unquote smart things is not good. And that leads to, I think, people valuing the same job done by two different genders differently. So it is important to look at work done objectively and not look at who did it, right?
Yes, let's hear from Gautam.
Most of the members were agreeing that reservations should be done and stuff like that. But on my part, I think that it is much more unfair than we perceive it to be. As in, listen, the root problem is this conservative mindset which we all have, right? That what families tell their kids and how girls are brought up. And I think we should focus on solving the root cause of the problem rather than providing temporary measures or if a plant's root is damaged or if it is attacked by weeds, we can't help it by providing more nutrients, giving it support to grow, more sunlight, that and all won't work. I mean, I think that is a temporary solution. What we really have to do is kill the parasites or the weeds that are damaging it. So, as Sugandhan said, rather than depriving talented people, I'm not just going to say men, anyone, rather than depriving talented people of their opportunity, we should focus on solving the actual problem, changing the mindsets. If we manage to do that, then we'll eventually arrive to the proper solution. That is, there will be no need of any reservation if you solve the main problem. That's what I'm trying to say. And another thing which Priyanka was telling is that if a woman reviews a mobile and a man reviews it, I think that mindset has gone down really a lot right now. I mean, it is still there, but if you look at it in a general, if a woman reads out the same specs read out, and if a man reads them out, like obviously most people a lot right now don't usually look at the fact that okay, just because a woman read it, I won't value them or I won't believe them. That doesn't happen much, right? But wage gap, I do agree, and there should be a change brought about in the wage.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Priyanka.
Yeah. So I think that the reservation actually plays a major role in changing the mindset, because over time, since you've given people opportunities now, over time there are going to be more examples of women being in high positions and doing things that women weren't doing before, and that automatically contributes to, okay, now we see AMD CEO Lisa Su, right? She's like pushing the company so much, and seeing women in big positions is going to help change the perspective of the public. And reservations, I think, are going to help get more women to those places. And of course, over time, as we get better as a society in respecting all genders, we no longer need reservations. At that point, it's unfair.
What would you like to add on, Pritesh?
As Gautam said, that instead of feeding the plant, let's just rip away the weeds, right? So I would like to disagree a bit here. The thing is, you can't solve a sociological problem completely on the basis of the philosophy of a biological problem. The thing is, see what happens when a reservation is introduced. You know the idea of census, right? It is recorded at every 10 or 11 years, I guess. So a person born in 2000 will become an adult in 2018, and 10 more years and he or she will start his own family. Now see what happens here. A person, especially a female, who got the opportunity to be in the particular field, be it administrative services or science or any other field of education or sport, because of the reservation policy introduced by the government, after a certain period of time, she will start a new family. Okay? And see what will happen here. Her parents will now be counted as old population. She will be counted as a part of a workforce population, and her children will be counted as the future workforce population. Since she got the opportunity to get herself exposed to these vast fields of knowledge, since she got the opportunity to build herself merely because of this small policy of the government known as reservation, she will be able to transfer the inspiration from herself to her children. She will be a better potential candidate to impart equality in her family. That's the idea behind these policies. The government it's actually ripping off the weed. By introducing reservation, the government actually rips off the weed. How? But the process is quite long. How? The one single person who got the advantage of reservation and gained an opportunity to build himself or herself, that person will have a level of exposure that will make him or her capable enough to become a potential candidate, a strong potential candidate to impart equality in their own families. Imagine this is happening in one family. Now imagine a large number of families all having stronger candidates to impart the concept of equality in their families. It spreads. Census happens after every 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. After a particular period of time, say 100 years, we will have a good number of families which have grown up with these ideas, which have been formed with these ideas. Voila, now we do not need reservation anymore. But the process will take time. The ripping of this weed is very strong. Ripping it off will take hundreds of years. But you can only do this through reservation.
Okay, thank you. When you see in the offices and in the workforces, we have this concept that mostly maternity leave is granted more than paternity leave. Should we, as a society, not just make like after a kid is born, the mother should take a leave, should stop working for some time. We should also encourage the father to take a paternity leave and take care of the child, so that there is an equal balance between how much the mother and the father contributes towards the child. And recently there have been issues also regarding women taking leave when they're on their periods, and it has been the leave which they are being granted is in the name of sick. It is not a sickness which they undergo, right? It is biologically women undergo that phase like once in a while. So, and to term that as sick, and that is an unhealthy that makes their working place unhealthy. How can we as a society deal with this in spite of men and women being biologically different? Yes, Pritesh.
I would say simply accept the fact. Let's see. The concept of paternity leave or maternity leave has a purely scientific basis. Why women get more maternity leave and why men, the fathers, don't get that much. Simply because even after a child is born, female has several different biological duties. For example, lactation. That takes certain amount of time. A child needs to be near his or her mother for a specific period of time. At that point of time, the role of father is not that much. A single father, it's impossible for a single father to nurse a baby just born. Who will provide lactation? He will have to go to a female, right? That's why maternity leaves are so long, because simply there is science involved here. I would first answer this maternity leave question. So that's why females are granted their a longer maternity leave. Although it's very important that once the biological needs are satisfied to a specific level, say the child crosses a certain age, after that, we need fathers to completely balance the family and help the mother, as a matter of fact, in raising the child. Okay, so I don't think there should be a problem in the difference between the leave periods in the name of maternity and paternity leave, because these differences are simply because of the differences in the biological roles these two individuals play, and there should be no problem in accepting that fact. And the second thing is that you will always know that companies grant their employees sick leave. There have been cases of certain women who simply can't function during their menstrual cycle when that particular time of month hits in. So if there are really health complications, then sure, you should not come to work. But yeah, using this as an excuse, I don't think that's a good idea. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Pritesh. Let's hear from Priyanka.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about period leaves, and recently Zomato has told that they're going to give their employees 10 days of leave per year for when they have their periods, right? So it's paid leave, and I feel that's an amazing step towards being more inclusive. Of course, it shouldn't be termed as a sick leave because it's something that's natural, and our jobs and everything should be built around accommodating something that's a natural process, right? So I think more companies should adapt what Zomato has done, and I think that's a really good step towards being a more inclusive society.
Thank you. Yes, Mayurakshi.
Regarding the difference in duration of the maternity leave and the paternity leave, I think if more men are willing to take up responsibility and take a longer paternity leave, And if they can somehow manage, other than the lactation, if the child does not take the breast milk or doesn't lactate, there are children like that. So if in such cases, if the father wants to take a longer paternity leave and like be with the child and like let the mother work during that time, then that should totally be allowed. I mean, allowed in the sense the duration of paternity leave should also be like the maternity leave, and when the father chooses to take that leave is totally on that father, whether it's after the lactating period is over or whether it is during the lactating period. I think the duration of the leave for fathers and mothers should be the same, because more men should be encouraged to take up the role of caregivers for the children. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. This?
Yeah, but weren't we just like discouraging the idea of a particular gender being caregivers? And then who will ensure that the extra paternity leave the father has taken, he is performing those duties that are implied with that extra paternity leave? There is always a biological validation for the longer period of time for women, but who's going to ensure that the father is just taking the leave for the sake of leave and not performing extra responsibilities? See, there is no checking mechanism here. If there is no checking mechanism here, there are risks involved with this longer period of time. A leave is associated with a firm. When does a firm, how does the firm calculate the duration of its leave? On the basis of the calculation that whether it will, after giving a certain period of time of leave, it won't affect their economical dynamics, right? So before a firm lends out these rules, or governments governments make such rules, they have to do a lot of calculation in terms of their economical health, right? That's why it's not just about equalities and ethics at this point of time. We have to be a little bit practical here. It's about the economical health of the systems that are granting these leaves. Just as we are systems and we have our biological health, the biological analog of health in case of these systems is their economics. These leaves are directly related to their economics. That's why there's a little bit risk involved here. I believe the firms are not ready to take that much risk.
Thank you. Yes, Mayurakshi.
Actually, all I was saying is that since our society always sees women as the caregiver, if we have men who are willing to take up, who are willing to share that responsibility towards building a more neutral society, if they want to take that step, there should be like, we should give them the chance to take that step and bring about that change. So that's basically what I was saying. That's why I was saying that the durations need to be at least comparable, if not exactly equal.
Okay. Priyanka?
Yes, talking about what Pritesh said about the economics part of a company, there is risk involved even in pushing green movements. Companies are trying to be more green and be more eco-friendly. So they're having to source more responsibly in order to be more green, right? They're losing money, but this issue isn't pursuing being eco-friendly is far more seriously than pursuing being equal.
Okay, thank you.